Hello everyone and welcome to the Trending in My Life podcast, episode 97. This week, Adventure List. So, have you been on any adventures in your life recently? Have you done anything spontaneous, wild, exciting? Maybe you should. Maybe you should say yes to something you would normally say no to. It might change your life. It might just change your views. Who can say? A lot of people get asked to take part in things and they say no automatically, or they're busy, or they can't, they've got other commitments, and they don't really give the opportunity any consideration. It's almost like a reflex action to say no. And there are times when it's beneficial to say yes to things. So let's think about it. How many things are you going to say yes to this month? I mean, you get to say no to things that you feel are dangerous, life-threatening, or you just simply don't want to do, definitely never have wanted to do. But something that's just vaguely, you think, I don't know, maybe I could, maybe I couldn't, and then you land on the no side. Maybe try landing on the yes side for a change. A few years ago, I did a bucket list, not because I'm dying, although we all are at some point, but just because I felt there were a lot of things in life that I hadn't done. And it made for quite an interesting 6 months when I was doing it. I went ice skating that I hadn't done since I was 7. And I still was hugging onto the railing when I first went skating. And then I did let go for a little bit, not long before I got off the ice. But I felt incredibly proud of myself that I'd done it. And then I went horse riding, and I've never ridden a horse in my entire life. And it was one of those things in Richmond Park where they actually have a rider who rides with you on their horse, and they've got, almost like a lead between your horse and their horse. So they're controlling your horse. It can't bolt, it can't go anywhere. And they told me that the horse they put me on was boring and never got excited and just walked along very slowly anyway, so I'd be all right. But I mean, we did do a trot at one point, so the horse went a bit faster. And I was glad I'd done it because I'd never done it before. It did seem awfully high up there, I have to say, once I'd got the hang of climbing up onto the horse. But I did feel that I wouldn't want to do it again because there was when he did the trot, there was all that bouncing up and down and banging back on the saddle. And I thought, this is really uncomfortable. And I also found, I'm 5'2", and 5'2.5" to be precise. And I found that the width of the horse seemed huge to have to sit on. I didn't get sort of like, oh, this is wonderful, I really want to do this all the time. But I was glad that I'd done it. I wanted to go up in a hot air balloon, and I did, but not in the way that you'd expect, because it was one that was tethered to the ground. That they often have this now at sort of seaside resorts, don't they? So you got in the basket and they wound it out, and it just went directly up and then just sat there so that you could get a great view, 360 kind of thing, of the coastal resort. The problem was, obviously I wasn't alone in the basket. There were other people going up at the same time. And there was a child with its parents who got terribly excited and was kind of rushing from one side of the basket to the other to have a look in each direction. Well, when he did that, the basket rocked a lot. And I have to say, whilst I took photos of the views and I did think it was amazing, I was also terrified and couldn't wait to get back down on the ground. So yeah, that got crossed off the list, but it wasn't exactly what I'd planned. But again, it was doing something that I hadn't done. I went a helicopter ride. I've never been in a helicopter before. It was only like a 30-minute thing along the Thames, but having flown on lots of planes in the past, it was interesting to see what it's like in a helicopter. And it did feel very much like, when I don't know whether they call it banking, when they turn in a helicopter and, you're kind of tipped slightly sideways, like you're pressed against a door, except it's like all glass and you're feeling like, I could just fall out here. So I'm not selling this very well, am I? What I'm saying is I don't regret any of the adventurous things I tried off that bucket list I had. And I can look back and think, well, I don't have any regrets because I at least tried these things. So yeah, it's sometimes you don't have to call it a bucket list, call it your adventure list. And you could make a list of things that you'd like to do, and some might be more adventurous than others. Some might be, go on a jungle safari, but others, like I had, might just be something that you've never done before and you've always kind of fancied doing. So yeah, and it gets you out of your comfort zone. I mean, I live in London, and especially around London, there are plenty of opportunities to do one-offs like that. You can climb to the top of the O2, all strung together with hard hats and colourful overalls, they seem to put them in. I don't kind of fancy doing that. I just feel like because you're strung together with a load of people walking over the top of the dome, it wouldn't feel like your own experience. I don't know whether that makes sense. I mean, that's how I feel about it. But yeah, sometimes a little adventure is exciting. And a lot of us live quite boring lives. We go to work, we come home, and then, your weekend routine, you do chores and you do errands, and you don't do much else. So sometimes it's good to have something like an adventure list. Maybe once a month you do one thing off your adventure list, and then at the end of the year you've done 12 things that you would never have done before. And like I say, it might just be that you get invited to things and you always say no, and just once you say yes. I can remember going to a birthday party, and I knew I wouldn't be very good at sort of socialising with the people there because I didn't know any of them, and so I knew I would feel quite uncomfortable. But at the same time, the person that invited me was a friend, and it was nice to be invited. So I went there and I stayed there for about an hour. And it panned out exactly as I thought it would. I had a couple of conversations, but they were quite short. And I left early, but at the same time I felt like I turned up. That friend wanted me there, so I turned up. And ironically, I had spent a long time picking out a gift, and I got an email not long afterwards saying, thank you for this that you gave me. And I thought, I didn't give you that. And it was quite a boring thing, right? And so I had to reply and say, actually, I gave you that, not what you thought I gave you. And it was apparently they had another friend with the same name as me, and they'd just assumed I'd given the boring gift and not the exciting gift. And I thought, oh well. But I still think that I was glad that I went and turned up. But this is the thing: you'll do some of your adventures, and maybe you won't like some. Like when I was up in that balloon, and it was scary. But then, for next time, I'm not a hot air balloon kind of person then, am I? So, so yeah, and it just broadens your circle in your life. It just brings new experiences in, and those experiences, at least you'll have something to talk about at the next party you're at, or down the pub. I did this the other week. Yeah. And I'm sure people will be surprised, because if you're not a person that does adventurous things and then you do something adventurous, then they will be surprised. So you'll suddenly be the star of the show. And but yeah, bring a little bit of adventure in your life. Well, if you enjoyed the podcast this week, please like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, and come back next time. Bye for now.